this regular meeting of the Port Hueneme Water Agency on July 20th, 2020 to order. And if we could have a roll call, please.
Member Hernandez. Laura, Member Hernandez.
Oh, here, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. Member Marcus.
I usually have my boombox attached to my iPad because I can't always hear everybody, so I apologize. I don't have it today.
That's perfectly all right. Member Marcus.
Here.
Member Munoz-Schnapp.
Here.
Ex officio Member Jacobson.
Here.
Vice Chair Rollins. Oh, Rich, we lost your video and I believe you're muted, sir, if you can hear me. We'll come back to him. I know Vice Chair is here and is present. Chair Bouchard.
I'm here, and just for the record, I'd like to say I loved that Laura used the word boombox.
Well, that's what it's called, right?
And for
It
us,
is.
I guess that makes me old school, right?
That's what it is called. I like it.
I like it.
Everything is relative.
Councilmember Rollins, I'm going to attempt to assist by unmuting you so that you can try speaking and acknowledging your presence. Okay, I am unable to do that. I'm not sure if his device is disconnected, although he's still there.
Yeah. I think when I've ran these meetings, when you do that and you unmute him, he then gets permission to unmute himself as if you're the one running the meeting or the admin on it. So he'll have to find how to unmute it. But if it's acceptable to the other four, just to move ahead and maybe Director Rollins, if you can hear us, maybe there's a way you can contact to get a little help, but maybe we'll move along with just the routine business here. And hopefully we can get Director Rollins back in. Is everybody else okay with that?
Yeah, I just sent him a text message to see if he could respond somehow.
Do you want to give him a minute?
Yeah, I was about to do the same, so I'm glad that you said something.
Okay, well let's just give it 30 seconds, a minute here, and see if Director Rollins is able to get reconnected here.
It looks like he got logged off completely. I'll try.
So Rich just called me and said he could actually hear people, but he can't use the screen. So he's going to try to call in through his phone and see if he gets a better connection.
Great.
There he is. Hi, Rich.
Sir, you're
You're on
muted.
mute, Rich. You want to unmute? Okay.
That was, there you go. We lost
right.
video, but I think we can hear you now.
Well, great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So do we have any public comment? Clerk, was there any, clerk of the board, did we have any written public comment or anybody waiting to speak?
No, sir, I've had no general public comments and none for any agenda items.
Okay, thank you. So we'll look for agenda approval of the Port Hueneme Water Agency agenda for today.
So move. Marcia, so
Second.
move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. So the motion carries 5-0. Moving along to the consent agenda, we need a motion to approve both the minutes of the Water Agency regular meeting at June 15th, 2020. And if we would like to, we can combine that business of it, receive and file the finance register and disbursements for June 6th, 2020 through July 14th, 2020, if nobody wants to pull those individually.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Aye.
I believe the clerk would like a roll call vote on this.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you. Member Hernandez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Rollins,
Yes.
Member Munoz-Schnapp,
Aye.
Member Marcus,
Aye.
and Chair Bouchard.
Aye.
Unanimously passes.
Okay. Now we'll move on to Public Works Director for the City of Port Hueneme and Mr. Don Villafana for the Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility Operational Report.
Good afternoon, Board. For the month of June, the plant was in operation. We had 3 shutdowns. They were for a total of 38 hours, and those were for an Edison power shutdown and 2 maintenance projects by Cayugas. But for the remainder of the month, except for those 38 hours, the plant was in operation. The SDI levels, the silt density index, was below 1, so we were able to operate our membranes. The demand for the month of June was 3.64 million gallons per day. Last year, that was more than what we had in our demand in May was 3.3 million gallons per day. Last June, our demand was 3.3 million gallons per day. So the plant was in operation most of the month, except for those shutdowns for Edison and Cayugas maintenance. And are there any questions?
Director Schnapp?
Yes, thank you, Chair Bouchard. Thank you, Mr. Villafana, for the updates. You know, it looks that Edison was a planned power upgrade. And what about Cayugas? Was that planned as well?
Yes, they coordinated with the city on that. So no, those were all coordinated shutdowns.
And does that normally occur during this time, or was it just something that worked within our calendar?
They're periodic. I mean, Edison will give us advance notice, as will Cayugas. They'll give us, no, neither one of these were an emergency. It was a planned maintenance operation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anybody else have questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if, thank you, Mr. Villafana, for your report. I just wanted to kind of follow up on Director Schnapp's question and find out, was there any loss in cost or impact, financial impact by the plant being offline?
Well, what typically happens is we go to bypass mode, and nothing for this amount of time. It was insignificant. I mean, there was not, you know, I can't quantify you what any cost differential were, but it was It was nominal at best.
Thank you, Mr. Villafana.
Thank you. Any other members have questions regarding the operational report? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to receive and file.
Motion to receive and file a report.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 do we need a roll call or?
No, the clerk has just asked for a voice vote on this.
Okay.
Director Rollins, I just remind you, you need to unmute when prepared to respond. I'm not sure, Christy, is that important that you have the voice recording?
We can do a roll call vote if that makes it more clear. Member or Vice Chair Rollins, are you able to unmute, sir? Maybe we'll have him raise his hand with an aye. Okay, I saw a hand raised.
Okay, well, we recorded you as a,
Aye.
There we go.
there we go. Okay, so it was a 5-0 voice vote.
Now I can't
Thank
hear you.
Okay, moving on to authorization to award contract for memory replacement to King Lee Technologies. And again, we'll have Mr. Villafana present this.
Good. Again, good afternoon. To give you a little background, the plant was built in 1996 and it was called, you've referred to it in many staff reports as the Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility, and then you've got the abbreviation. Originally, there were 3 sets of membranes put in play, and you had the nanofiltration, reverse osmosis, and electrical dialysis reversal. The 3 different systems were put in to see what was the best system for the groundwater that was being extracted by United, and that's why it was done. All right. In 2010, the original EDR system was replaced with a second nanofilter system. Then in 2014, the original nanofilter system started to develop issues, and remedial measures were taken, but it didn't correct the issues. Then in 2019, PHWA contracted with Gannett Fleming Engineers to conduct an inspection of the facility and provide a master plan. And one of the recommendations was the replacement of the original nanofiltration, which is currently out of service. So with that background, PHWA staff, we prepared specifications, we solicited bids, we had 3 bids come in. The engineer's estimate was $175,000. King Lee Technologies came in at $118,359. And what they'll provide is they will provide all the parts, all the equipment. PHWA staff will install the membranes, but King Lee will have a representative there for technical assistance on board, there to assist us. So with that history, we're asking, since it was under the engineer's estimate, it was in accordance with the recommendations from Gannett Fleming Engineers, I'm asking that the board authorize the executive director, Brad Connors, to award a contract to King Lee to provide the membranes for the replacement. Are there any questions? And in the back, attached to the staff report, is the actual King Lee proposal.
So I'll take questions from board members, and I think I saw Director Schnapp raise her hand first, and then we'll go to Director Marcus and then Director Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Bouchard. Thank you, Mr. Villafana, for this report. Have we ever had staff then assigned to be kind of supervised by someone else to do this kind of project work?
We routinely clean the membranes. You backwash the membranes, and there were some individual membranes that were replaced. So I don't know the full history, but we have the capability to do this in-house with some oversight.
And is that the basis for this, you know, like a cost savings perhaps on this project?
Well, the other three bids the other proposals did not include the technical support that King Lee provided. King Lee actually provided the lowest cost for the membrane replacements in addition to providing on-site technical support. Neither of the other two proposals was for installation. We have the staff capability to install these ourselves, which is a cost savings to the city, rather than have it, if you will, a turnkey operation where they would do everything. We would still have to have staff there, even if we had a turnkey operation, because we'd have to still, for safety and for oversight.
And so effectively, then this would allow this system that has been offline for this period of time to come back on. So we have 3 filtration systems then moving forward.
Yes, typically in operations, under normal demand, we run 1 membrane system. And then during high demand, we have 2 membranes going. Right now, we only have 2 membranes capable. The nano filter system, which replaced the original electric system. And then we have the reverse osmosis. The reverse osmosis system, we backflushed it, we treated it. It's not operating at 100%. So this would give us a new filter system that would be operating at near optimum level.
And what would be the ETA of having then this completed and operational for us?
Sometime early fall. They have to place the order once this is authorized. And I'm not sure what the delivery time is from King Lee right now, especially given the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm not sure how that's affecting the supply chain. I certainly could come back, if you award this, I could come back with an update with a schedule.
That would be good to know, especially because of COVID. It happens to push a lot of maybe deliveries back. So it would be kind of nice to find that out. Thank you so much.
Director Marcus?
I'm just curious about the other bids. How much higher were they than this one?
I don't have that information in front of me. We reviewed them all, and this was the lowest responsible bid. We had one that was approaching the engineers, right at the engineer's estimate, and then another one that fell in between the two. So if you need that information, I could gladly come back, but we evaluated them, and this was the lowest responsible bid. And actually, it provided more service because we had on-site tech rep from King Lee.
I appreciate all that. I just was curious because the engineer had estimated higher. We don't want to get lowballed, but I would like to ask Jared if there's anything regarding this event that you would like to discuss regarding, I'm thinking of the technical aspect.
I have a couple of questions, but I think
Okay.
I mean, you guys are asking a few of them, so I think I'll go through the rest of the board, and then maybe I'll follow up at the end and see if we don't get them answered.
Thank you very much.
So Director Hernandez, you had some questions as well? You're good? I'm sorry, you're muted. Okay. Director Rollins, ex officio member Jacobson, did you guys have anything you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I did. The question that I had was regarding the installation and the warranty associated with these new membranes. King Lee Technologies is providing the membranes. We're PHWA or Port Hueneme, City of Port Hueneme staff is installing them. Does that violate any of the potential warranties of this equipment or these membranes?
No, it does not. They warranty they're going to have someone there overseeing the installation.
Okay.
So it does not violate, and the warranty is in place. on all materials.
Great. Then my second question is during installation, we will be down to one filter. Do we foresee any changes in treatments during that time with only one train working?
No, this train, the train we're replacing is not in operation now. We had 3 trains, so
got
no, it's not going to affect operations at all.
Understood. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Director Schnapp.
Yes, thank you. One more question, Mr. Villafana. What is the life expectancy of this new system coming on?
If we continue to maintain it, typically, we're looking, you're always going to have there's a curve, there's going to be a deterioration. But if you do the routine maintenance and do the back flushing and everything else, you're looking at a lifetime of a minimum of 15 years on this. So, I mean, I can't see it. You know, there will be some loss of production over a period of time, but 15 to 20 years.
Thank you.
Director Rollins, did you have any questions before I ask? I'm sorry, you're muted again.
No, they've been answered. Thank you.
Okay. I just have a few questions, Dawn, and I apologize. Normally I would have probably called in advance, but I was out on vacation and just returned over the weekend, and so I didn't have an opportunity to look this over in advance. What is contained in the staff report in the way of the quotation? Doesn't seem like a formal bid response. Did we formally bid the project? It's referenced really as a quotation and not a formal bid with a skid. It's almost like an acquisition quotation of just parts. And is King Lee the actual manufacturer of those membranes, or are we putting a third party in between?
Okay, we sent out we prepared specifications and we sent it out to a number of membrane suppliers and manufacturers. And we received 3 responses. And this was, we reviewed these, and this was the lowest responsible. And it's my understanding King Lee is the manufacturer of these. I don't think they may not manufacture all the products, but they do manufacture it.
Okay.
All the they may not provide every component.
Okay. So thank you for that. I did have an opportunity when I got back and read the staff reports and it today to kind of go back through. We referenced the Gannett-Fleming study, and the Gannett-Fleming study, while there was a gross amount of 175,000, I just want the rest of the board to be aware, they really only said it would be about 125,000 for the actual membrane. So that's good. We're still at 118,000 for the membranes rather than the 125. The whole 175 included other components, which I just want to make sure that we're all comfortable with the path. As I believe as a board member, one of my obligations is to protect the financial investment of our constituents. And one of the recommendations, if I could share my screen really quickly, I just tried to put the 2 bullet points up, if that's acceptable to folks. I tried to pull out of the Gannett-Fleming study, just so we make sure we're all okay with how we are going here. Let's see, share screen. Gonna let me do this? Yeah. Okay. So this is direct out of the Gannett-Fleming study that had a 5-year CIP, and I don't have the whole study up for you. I just tried to pull it. The NF1, which is what we're considering today, was on there for actually year 2 to because year one was conducting a study to determine all improvements needed or identified. Key components are that we wanted to look at, are we picking the correct membrane for what we're doing today, i.e. is there more efficiency? Now I can totally appreciate us saving the money on the study, so that's not where I'm going. I do want to, if you guys can see my cursor, the cost estimate was actually 208, 20,000 of it was for an evaluation and recommendation. So I can appreciate that maybe we miss that if we do or don't need to go through that. I'm not sure where I'm at in my own mind with that. There was a $38,000 contingency, but again, the replacement of the membranes was scoped out at 125,000. So we're really close, and then 25K design support. So I think the engineers did a good job of understanding what the cost of the membranes would be. The question for us is, when we're getting ready to spend $118,000 on the membranes, are we confident that those are the appropriate membranes for replacement, or is there a more efficient one? Did we just spec out basically a one-for-one replacement? I don't know the answers to those, and again, I apologize. Had I had a chance to review this in advance, I would ask these questions because I'm sure staff has done this. The other component of this that is actually where my bigger concern or question is part of that Gannett Fleming study was the bag filter system. That bag filter system that's out front of those and the evaluation, or at least us knowing what condition it is important. That's what protects those membranes. And if I'm not mistaken, Don, that is where the SDI problem actually begins to show itself when the filters can't run, as those bag filters get clogged very quickly. And so do we know that they're optimized today? And is that not maybe a first step for us? It seems they didn't break it down in the study to what the bag filter replacement cost would be if necessary, but 150,000 to me seems like a lot to study it and replace the bag filters. But I just ask those to make sure that we're stepping in the right direction before we spend $120,000 and find out maybe there could have been a different efficiency factor or something related with newer bag filter systems or something of that sort. So those are, I guess, a lot of questions, but wanted to ask them before we move ahead. And then I'll stop sharing.
Let me address that, the bag filter question. We did not do a study on there, so I cannot address that. You know, the nano filter was the consensus filter. We have a consultant on board that is providing technical assistance to me while I do not have a full-time water manager. And the consensus was that the nano filter was the best selection for it. I did have a conversation with the Fleming group, and you know, their thoughts, there's some time ago, their thoughts were also the nano filter. So that's why that was selected. It was the consensus of them, and also another outside group of people that are in the water industry.
So I guess maybe I'm not arguing. Obviously, we have a report that says that the nano filter is a priority. The selection of the actual filter, I guess, is my question, and I'm not sure that I'm technically capable of asking the question appropriately. But we had a recommendation that said, "Hey, review it to make sure you're selecting the proper filter when you do the replacement." And I guess that's where my question's at. And is it worth us conducting that piece of the evaluation to ensure that the bag filter system is going to adequately protect these new filters and not void some warranty, and is there not some greater efficiency factor that maybe we're missing at the other end of this by us bypassing that? And that's the question that I ask, and I don't have an answer for it. I'm asking the question so the rest of the board we're comfortable moving ahead, saying, hey, we paid for a master plan, these were the recommendations, but we're going to bypass those steps to save the money, knowing that there may be some alternative, some risk in the future, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm willing to weigh risk for money. I just wanted to make sure we all understood that we adopted a master plan and that we're bypassing a few of the steps in this selection, and if we're okay with that.
We did not. Let's see, am I on there? Yeah, I'm on there. But we did not, do the additional studies that were in there with the additional fees. So we did not do that. As I said, it was the consensus from the Fleming people that this was the best selection. So it would be on the board's discretion if they want to move forward with this, or if they would like to, incur additional consulting fees to have additional studies done. And if whatever the board's direction is, staff will follow up, and I'll follow up with it.
Director Shaw.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Burchard. So what you had mentioned then, that one of the slides that you showed was the tubing, and you had said that it sounded like you said that had priority maybe for replacement, and then this nanofiltration was year 2 because of a study that we were going to engage in. Is there an opportunity then to find out what the, to get some bids for then that other slide? And what you had talked about was kind of like a 1-2, those 2 components that had to happen, this being one of them, and the second one was the one you had pointed out.
I think, I think I would refer to staff whether or not they feel it appropriate. I mean, if they've spoke with Gannett Fleming, I'm not sure who the consultant you have on board today is. It feels comfortable with the membrane selection, and they say, hey, yeah, go ahead and bypass the studies. My only point was that the bag filter system, which protects and is the front end of it, if we haven't addressed it, do we think we can take a similar approach, Mr. Villafana, to saying, hey, maybe we don't need to spend $150,000 to completely study the bag filter system, but are there components that should be replaced in order to protect our new investment? I guess I'm just asking because it seemed to me when I read back through the Gannett Fleming report that there was kind of a process in us getting to where we're at today.
Thank you for clarifying my question. Yes, that's what I was asking. Thanks.
We would have to, I'd have to circle back with the consultants to look at that. But again, the consensus with the plant operators that we have, that was not an item. If we did go forward with the membrane replacement, that would not jeopardize the existing, the new membrane system. We do not run, we rotate the membranes. And with this third membrane system, you put less strain on all the membranes because you rotate them. As I mentioned earlier, during operations, we typically only use 1 membrane system. And then during high demand, we go to 2 membranes. And this would be obviously the most efficient membrane system because it would be new. So I think it would give us the opportunity to do more investigation on the bag filters. And certainly I think it would be probably, I would look for additional consultants and specialists. And I think we would get a better price than the $150,000 for investigating that. So, I mean, that's certainly something that I could come back to at at a subsequent meeting in the fall if you'd like.
I'm gonna ask the question if maybe do you have any indication? I didn't see on the quotation or the bid response how long they would honor that. If we could maybe come back in 30 days and figure out whether we award it, whether, so that we can kind of answer that. Are we moving in? You know, I would just hate to replace the new filter system and have the front end system of the bag filters be some cause for a problem, or maybe we figure out maybe we shouldn't be looking at a different filter membrane system because of efficiency with the bag filters on the front end. Does that make any sense, Mr. Villafana, to you? Or
Well, with respect to the quote, it's good for, we got this in June, so we'd be approaching the 90-day time period if we're coming back in September. So I don't know, I'd have to check with them to see. So I can't guarantee we would get the exact same quote or you know, final bid. Probably close, I would think. I don't know what cost increases if there've been, but I can't guarantee it would be the exact same price. With respect to the membrane selection, the nano filter, again, I think that's probably, as I said, the consensus selection. The outstanding issue would be additional studies or recommendations on the bag filter system up front. And that I would have to circle back. I cannot fully answer those questions tonight or this afternoon.
Director Schnapp?
Thank you, Chair Bouchard. We do go dark in August, and so effectively the next time would be September. So I don't know, you know, if we want to weigh in on some of that now.
Well, we would not be coming back until, I think, what, the second or third week in September. So I believe that we would be outside the 90-day limit on here, and I'd have to ask them to resubmit.
Director Marcus?
Jared, what's the worst case scenario if we were to go ahead and replace the nanofiltration system without doing the back system?
I mean, I don't disagree with anything that Mr. Villafana said. I'm looking at this from a board member perspective, and that we adopted a plan that said and paid for an engineer to say, and we said, hey, they said this is what you ought to be doing. I'm okay with us moving ahead, at least, or I'm okay with myself voting on it. I just want us to understand what we're, you know, we adopted as a board. We said this is the master plan and what the path forward ought to be, and we accepted it. And we're bypassing a few of those steps, and we need to go into that knowingly. So that's worst case scenario. I don't know. I mean, my guess would be, you know, we would find that out. And I know that bag filter system had failed some time ago, once before, and you know, the staff at Port Hueneme Water Agency knows their system there and would stop and protect things. We didn't destroy the entire plant when it happened years ago. So I couldn't answer that from a technical standpoint at all. I hope that answers it. And then Director Rollins.
Let's make sure I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Villafano, from your existing expertise, are there technological advances in the membrane that, I mean, is this kind of a generic thing where most membranes operate the same and most of them of today's standards meet the same basic qualifications or specifications? Or are there some like Cadillacs of membranes and some Chevrolets of membranes?
There's different types of membranes. You know, this was, you know, a demonstration plant, and the 3 different types of membranes were installed, and the nano filter by my predecessors was found to be what was considered the best membrane for our water, for the water that was extracted by United. So I feel comfortable with that based on what my predecessors have discussed and what the consultants have said with, you know, on the selection of the membrane. With respect to, you know, the bag filters, you know, those are monitored by our staff and you know, certainly we can investigate more of that, but no, that's, I hope that answers your question. Yeah,
Sure.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, oh, Director Hernandez.
Thank you, Chairman Bouchard. I wanted to ask a question regarding the process that we went through to get to this award, and I'm not sure of what this agency, how this agency processes and a bid, issues a bid, and then makes the award. Does the board get to see that process? Do we approve the agency's request to go out to bid? Do we get to see the bid? Because the report just does not reflect that, the steps that we went to get here. And if indeed that we did that, I don't recall we did that, but if we did that, then we would have had this discussion then. We would have had the opportunity to have this discussion then. So are we missing a step here? Can somebody enlighten me as far as what the process is when we go out to bid like this?
We had previous meetings, and I can't give you the exact date, you know, when we discussed the Fleming report, we discussed the findings in the Fleming report and that we were going to be going out to bid for membrane replacement. I did not ask the board to give me a request to go out to bid. But we did go out to bid. It was in compliance with the government code and the city purchasing practices and policies. Those bids were reviewed, and this was found to be the most, you know, the lowest responsible bid. Yeah, I certainly can, you know, subsequently send an email with the other bids, the other proposals that were in there, if that's for informational reasons. And I'm sure the city clerk could post that so it would meet, and possibly the city attorney could just give us the correct way to do that so that that information is public information to anyone who would want it, and also the board. So the board was made aware that we were planning to go out to bid for the membrane replacement in accordance with the findings of the Fleming report.
So the decision not to follow the Gannett Fleming study and recommendation was based on the fact that you felt the plant operators were well within their experience level to make that call, to make that kind of assessment, that an analysis was not necessary, that it was okay just to go ahead and move forward with what you're recommending here this evening?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that full question, board member. The first part of it was garbled. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. So what was the basis for deciding not to go through with the analysis? Was it because you felt the plant operators could make that decision based on their level of experience?
Yes, that and some additional consultant support that we had at the plant.
Okay.
Can I ask really quickly, Donna? I'm struggling, and I want to always try to support where staff's going. Who's the additional consultant we keep referring to?
Okay, we have Milner Via. We have Mike Oakley, who is a retired water treatment operator from the city of Ventura. He's my technical expert, and that's who I've relied on. He's got years and years of experience with the city of Ventura, and he's who I've turned to as for additional technical support, specifically with membranes. He has extensive background in membrane operation.
I really appreciate that. I've known Mike for 20 plus years, and he is very, very qualified. So I appreciate that. So thank you.
Okay, I have just a couple of thoughts. Would it be helpful to go back to the engineer and ask some of these questions regarding especially the back filter system? Or should we form an ad hoc committee? We could do it quickly and accept this based on the final decision of the committee. Just trying to get through this process.
What I would recommend,
Oh, go ahead, please, Director, or Mr. Villafana, please.
well, what I would recommend is if you have questions about that, I would have to get together with the operating staff, Mr. Oakley, and we would just do again an analysis and probably bring in possibly one other person, but on the bag filters and check their current condition and evaluate that. I don't think it would be necessary to bring in Fleming at this point. I think I would just have city staff, PHWA staff, do an inspection of those filters. I don't have that current information with me, but I can assure you that things are monitored well.
I'm going to maybe throw this out there for the rest of the board to consider. Is there any opportunity for us to have a special meeting between now and then so we don't lose the bid price? And perhaps maybe the direction we ask Mr. Villafana is to reach out to, I'm sorry, who the quotations from. I have the wrong screen up right now. Who's the quotation from for the replacement?
King Lee.
Reach out to King Lee and ask them if they would accept an extension to give us, give the board an opportunity. My concern solely lies in not that I don't 100% trust where the staff's coming from, but as Mr. Villafana said, we basically authorized going out following the Gannett Fleming report. And if we're going to turn away from that, I think it's important that we make that decision fully informed to turn away from that report. And so do you think that's doable, Mr. Villafana, to ask for an extension on that quotation to reserve that price? And if they're not willing to, that we can come back with a special meeting with some of the other information?
Well, I can't reach out to them today. I could probably send an email out after this meeting, but I certainly couldn't have that answer on short notice. I'd probably more likely have an idea later in this week whether or not they would honor that to, let's say, the end of September, because if you wanted to postpone it, or would they honor it to the third week of August? I think I could get that information in the next couple of days, but I certainly couldn't get it immediately or this evening.
So I get that would be my motion if we're okay, just to be clear that we request that staff go and request an extension of the reservation of the price in that quote. If staff is unable to get the reservation of pricing be reserved beyond our regular meeting in September, giving staff time to bring back the technical justification for moving away from the Gannett Fleming recommendations, and if staff is unable to get the King Lee company to extend the lock on that price, that we hold a special meeting between now and the end of that for us to come to that decision.
I'll second. Well, maybe we should have somebody from Fort Hueneme second. I'll take it back.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board members on the motion, or do we want to ask for, I don't know, do you, Christy, do you need a roll call because we really just gave direction?
Sir, because you took a first and second motion, I'll go ahead and do a roll call. I think that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Okay.
So seeing no, yep.
Member Marcus,
Aye.
Member Munoz-Schnapp,
Yes.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rollins,
Yes.
and Chair Bouchard.
Yes.
And sir, we can call a special meeting at any time upon your direction, just so you're aware.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really wanted to leave it up to staff whether or not they can keep it under their normal calendar or, so I apologize, Mr. Villafana. I know nobody appreciates extra work, but I hope, I wanted to leave it up to you folks if you're able to secure it.
I will go ahead and reach
And then I
out
had a
to-
question also.
Please, Director Hernandez.
Is the board interested at all in seeing the request for proposal, to seeing what went out, what were in the specs? Is that something that we should be looking at, or is that too much getting into the weeds for us? I don't know what the practice is.
It's my understanding, and so I'd ask your staff, PHWA is supposed to operate under basically the city's purchasing and bid rules. So I think I would ask staff that question.
Okay.
I'm not clear.
Yeah, because usually I have seen in the past where we have the whole packet. We see the RFP, we see the solicitations, and then the responses, and then the recommendation. So there might be something in there that would provide us additional information on what exactly we were asking for, and whether those back filters were even included in the analysis. So for me, it's just more information. I think it helps make us in a better position to make a better decision.
I certainly could come back with what we sent out and provide that as part of a staff report for the next meeting.
Okay, so I think we're good there. Now we're to board member reports, comments, and requests for future agenda items. So I'll just move from left to right the tiles. I have Director Marcus. Any board member comments?
Well, I hope everyone is healthy, safe, and nice to see you all there.
Director Schnapp.
Nothing for me. Thank you, Chair Bouchard.
Director Hernandez.
Oops. Well, I hope everybody has a great summer, and looks like some of our other committee meetings are also going to, my other committees are also planning on meeting over the summer. So I do plan to make myself available. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Rollins.
No.
And ex officio member Jacobson.
Nothing, just everyone be safe.
All right, well, thank you all. And we will move to adjourn this meeting now at 4:55 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.